we're going to, start the meeting of the Public Health and Safety Standing Committee, Tuesday, April 22nd. And we know that Doug Miller isn't going to be here today. Your minutes looked good. I only had one little thing here where it said, because the construction trailers are frequently used as receptacles, construction debris, the committee set that dumpsters. And I think it just said.
Okay, all right,
So I move to approve the minutes with that one correction.
all right. Now, do you want me to go home and resend this to you? Is that how you want me to do that?
Sure.
Okay.
I won't get it till
Change
Lonnie.
it to set, okay. All righty.
And do we have an update from the police department?
I wasn't really notified of what to do, just to show up for the chief, but I did drop off a,
Yeah,
a list of,
I'm in printing it, so in line with this conversation, Landon has put together some ordinances that he thinks would be beneficial, for council to revisit what we have as far as their ability to enforce things.
Cool.
And I'm printing that off in the other room,
Okay?
but, the printer was in use and out of paper, so if you give me just a
In use
minute.
and out of paper. How was the toner?
You didn't say, it ran out of paper first.
Okay, well, we'll go on to something that wasn't it. We've got the dumpsters. The recommendation from the, city council was to change it from construction dumpsters and trailers to dumpsters and trailers. And then the
Okay.
next line, we would do all dumpsters where we had construction dumpsters, and trailers must have proper, and we're taking out and functional lids to proper covers, and we had it closed and secure, but we just had it be secure.
Yeah, it can't be open and secure, right?
Apparently, it
It would,
I-
it'd make it
from the
difficult.
standpoint of a garbage can, that's probably true.
Okay,
so if you're okay with it,
yeah,
I'll make those changes and we'll get it over to city council tonight. Easy enough.
Landon, what's your last name?
Right.
I knew that, Landon Brown. Are you, a sergeant?
Yes.
Okay.
And I was gonna look at that and see if. And I don't think that we need any, a resolution for fines.
I
this one.
was just going from what we said at the meeting, but, that's
But-
just,
They do want us to have a resolution, for fines for snow, because we took those out of the snow ordinance.
okay.
And I did receive this, these are the suggestions from, Public Works.
Oh, I didn't see that. Huh.
And the thing that I liked out of this one is that the snow shall not be moved from one parcel to another. And I think that should be, citywide, not just downtown.
Yeah, you can't move it to but your neighbor's lot or to a business or anything to get it away from your spot.
Yeah, our neighbor.
Just leave it on your spot.
Our neighbor puts their snow on one of ours. We have 3 parking spots, he has 2. So he keeps his 2 and we're down to 2 because that's where his snow is. But they say they,
Snow from one parcel to the other, but I own both of them.
Yeah. I was walking my dog last night and it looks
Ah.
like you got rid of some bales.
18,000 pounds worth,
How many trips did that take?
one.
Just one, okay.
We've got a big trailer that I think we hold, the capacity is 20, we hold 18. I think the wet snow had something to do with
Sure.
it, but,
Yeah, uh-huh.
yeah.
I'd be curious next month, with those snow, how much it, Weighs.
He's usually between 12 and 14
oh, okay, all right.
when he takes a trip.
okay, so he had a lot of this about a boulevard strip,
Yeah,
which basically means you have the curb The street is a different surface, this is actually concrete,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not very wide. Even now, when you look at it, what we've got is very little. Okay, back to Landon's.
I'm just saying, not everyone has a boulevard, but I'm just saying,
Well, they do downtown.
yeah, right.
And because Rod pointed out that it moved from the frontage of one parcel to another, if you own them both, we have to put in there not owned by the same entity. In other words, you can move it from parcel to parcel as long as you own them
I
both.
just don't
Oh,
wanna
sure.
get a citation from clearing around my garage and putting it into the old parking lot,
Yeah,
because I usually clear that whole street in the county employees part in the cleared area as well.
yes, they do. Snow shall not be placed on the sidewalk?
That's a challenge for downtown because the state puts the snow on the sidewalks,
Don't we know it?
so
But I think I read that the state
the state.
is decided to try to do better.
I think that
but
Dave has asked the
The state
state.
says that there should be no snow in the street, and the city says there should be no snow on the sidewalk.
And the boulevard is this wide.
And there's no boulevard downtown.
Well, there is. They call it a boulevard. I have it drawing, because it's not what I would have called a boulevard. But he clearly has it. There's the center line of the street, there's the curb, no berm at curb and on the street. And he was calling it snow berm on Boulevard Strip. There's a very thin strip between the curb.
I don't know that his drawing is Broadway though.
It's not,
Residential has a small boulevard. Some are defined and some are not.
I was saying, I don't even have a curb, let alone a boulevard. Anyway, his suggestions were snow removal of streets shall be perpendicular to the center line of the street, pushing the snow over the curb with the resulting berm of snow residing on the boulevard strip between the curb and sidewalk.
We'll take Class as an example. At one of my rentals, there is a boulevard of grass between the sidewalk and the gravel.
Right,
There is no curb,
right.
but one block down, there's no boulevard of grass. It's all gravel up to the sidewalk
Yeah,
within one block, so.
and I'm hoping he was only referring to the downtown, because the snow ordinance that we've been working on was the downtown.
That conversation that he had, I don't know if that was during Public Works, was referring to residential.
Was it?
Mhm.
Well, we're really in trouble because there aren't sidewalks and curbs in many of the places.
We just gotta use common sense. I mean,
Yeah.
it's goofy as heck.
The big
Well,
issue,
the
the
one-
big issue was moving it in front of your neighbor's house and piling it up at corners.
Right, which we know that corners are issues. They're not supposed to actually put it on city-owned property. But everyone pushes it so that if you have two parking spots in front, you use one of them for snow and the other one for parking. So, but I do like this snow shall not be moved from the frontage of one parcel to another not owned by the same entity. Does that sound like a good thing to put in the snow ordinance? Since there's nothing in there now that says that you can't put your snow on your neighbor's property regardless?
Okay, what I'm thinking they're thinking is that if you live next door to a short-term rental, you think, okay, they're not here,
Well, you
know.
don't know that they're not there, they could be any minute.
but,
Yeah.
The challenge is most residents, their only parking is in front of their houses.
Exactly.
They don't have driveways.
And if you can't put it in the street, and you can't leave it on the right-of-way, then where are you gonna put it? I mean, that, for me, that would have to be picking it up, walking over the boulevard, walking over the sidewalk, and heaving it over the fence. It doesn't make any sense.
I put it on, it gets put on my yard as it does in a lot of places.
My yard doesn't start till after the fence,
Oh,
so trying to get the
because
snow over that fence.
Well, I said that, the answer is come up with it's not just, well, this doesn't work, or what does, right? That's what you guys are working on.
Yeah, and I don't think that there is a solve for residential.
I think his main concern was that it goes to the side, that it's pushed to the side, and then not pushed forward or onto it's not moved off of the public right-of-way in front of your house to the public right-of-way in front of somebody else's house.
Well, that's for sure.
His push was that all the snow goes to the side, not down the street.
That's
And-
all well and good, but it would cover my sidewalk. It's a real issue. That's not gonna work. As much as we'd love that, it's not gonna work. And they never plow my right-of-way anyway. I come home and it's just as bad as it was. Anyway, so let's not tie up Landon. Oh, a nudity, we have a nudity
So
ordinance?
Landon, you came instead of, to talk about these ordinances, was that,
Chief Shock is home with sick kids,
oh,
and sick himself, actually, so.
oh, great.
Yeah, they'll make you sick.
So, but,
Landon took advantage of his opportunity to come to say, hey, while I'm here.
So I've given these to Dennison a while back, and I didn't know what their plans with them were. And I just brought them here for you guys to have a look at and see what you guys think.
So the first part is the way the ordinance reads right now, and the second part is how you would love to see it rewritten,
Better written
better
than
written.
some of them. The way, the nudity one, the way it's written, it's just one big blob of confusion.
It's one big sentence. It's one sentence. Wow.
So it needs to be, instead of having it at like one violation, there should be subsections, because it's a whole different, bunch of different things. So, and it's all summed up into one chart. So that one needs to be broken up, or things need to be taken out or something,
And the yellow needs to be added in?
in order to not to violate people's rights, I would say yes.
Is this proposed wording yours, or did you copy from other municipalities?
Some of the new ones I copied from other municipalities and changed the verbiage a little bit. And I gave Dennison the Word format version so he could amend it or change it how he felt.
Is there a definition of lewd?
I don't know, I think there's one in our city ordinance now.
So,
sounds like our animal ordinance.
makes any obscene gesture to or about any person publicly. Is that like flipping them off? Is that an obscene gesture?
So, the way it was worded before, yes. But changing it, I'm just gonna pull mine up real quick. So before it had that yellow part, yes, if I make any gesture that might be considered lewd or obscene, then yes, you could be cited for that.
My husband's in trouble.
Well-
Right, don't say that's the way it's worded now, correct. But adding that for the purpose to intimidate, harass, disturb the peace of another makes it more fall under the disorderly conduct, Montana.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how does flipping somebody off get you nudity, George?
Exactly.
That would be really
I
sad.
think the title is, may need to be expanded to include more than just nudity.
Well, the new one version is still under nudity also.
All I did is I broke it up to where it made more sense, and then I added that one section to be part of this from being a violation of people's rights, because the way it is now, people can't joke around or, you know, flip their buddy off or anything, they could be in violation if someone was to see it and report it.
Well, lewd means sexually suggestive, and that's it. I mean, so just for,
And under exhibit, sell, or offer for sale, or in any way dispose of any indecent book. So you can't get rid of it. You can't throw it in the trash?
Again, this is how it's written now.
I see that, and I looked up there and I looked down here, I'm not sure that dispose, I would tend to get rid of the word dispose. Because, I mean, what's left, burning? I don't know how you get rid of an indecent book, let's say your 14-year-old got himself an indecent book, and how do you get rid of it? If you can't dispose of it.
Well, and then who's to define what's indecent and what's not.
I have a question as a defense attorney. That is, how do you prove intent? How do you know what my purpose was or what my client's purpose was?
Right.
So how do you address that with something that'll stand up in court?
You're talking about B? the purpose?
Yeah. If for the purpose of to intimidate, you have no idea what my purpose was. Good morning, do you want to join us?
I got a meeting.
Or did you want to pull me out?
No, I was just, you caught his attention.
When I said, let me put my defense attorney hat on, that got your attention?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, zip, there he is.
Yeah. Like that. That's all part of the process to prove your innocence or for the.
But what I'm saying is, if your ordinance says, if you're doing it with the purpose of intimidating or harassing or disturbing a peace, how do you prove?
So we'll use the abusive language part as an example. So if me and my buddies are just talking and I'm F-bombing and I'm doing all this, you know, my purpose isn't to intimidate, harass, or whatever, but if I'm going after a guy, I'm F you, F this, F that, that's different. That's where you can show purpose and intent, but I'm doing it for the purpose of.
Can you just say it was in an intimidating fashion instead or something, or?
No. Sorry.
Is that problematic, or is that
Yeah.
just fine?
And then I'll leave. Sorry. Any criminal case or any criminal law requires two things, the mens rea and the actus reus. Means you have to do the act that's bad, and you also have to have the actual mental state of doing something bad. But if you do something just accidentally, it doesn't count as a criminal case. So you have to have the intent. Intent is very important in a criminal case. And all criminal laws have an intent. And you prove it, like he was saying, you prove it through circumstances, you prove it through, kind of external evidence of what was people thinking, what was going on in their mind. So that's,
to me, it looks like one of those things Chief Wells would have yelled at us, you can't do that, or something or other, but he was, yeah.
no, that's, in any criminal case, in any criminal law, there's always had an intent component, either it's with purpose, knowingly, negligently, you have to have some sort of mental state. Sorry, just.
No,
So he was sharing
No.
something that he indicated he'd shared with you earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Did it go anywhere from you? Did you do anything with it, or just say, yep, I've got it and it looks good, or?
Well,
Yeah,
I sent you the word format, because you were gonna edit and change some things.
yeah, there was not much. It looked pretty good. There was one or two things, very small things that was gonna change, but no, it looked really good.
But it also says in here that, that basically it's illegal to dispose of any indecent book.
So this is our nudity law. that we
Yeah.
talked
That's
about.
So-
existing.
Oh,
How do you dispose of an indecent book if you,
our nudity law is actually really bad. Just in case you're wondering.
sorry, we're sitting here.
Yeah, it's like it's a giant paragraph.
I have it.
we see it, right, yeah,
Oh,
we got
yeah.
it, we have it, yeah.
It's problematic to enforce. That one doesn't make any changes on it. Just talking about that.
I just don't know why would it be illegal to dispose of an indecent book?
I don't know who wrote it. It was written probably
In the 80s.
years ago. Yeah,
That-
that's right.
No, that
That 15 years?
1980 is,
Yeah.
they use that all the time, because they don't have any history below that. So it says 1980, you
So
don't
it could have
know
been
when.
the fifties.
Yeah. Like, somebody wrote it a long time ago. And the laws have changed significantly concerning obscenity laws, what's considered indecent nowadays, versus back then. Just throwing it there.
Okay.
Well,
We're gonna, I think we should run this past you
Yeah.
before we spend too much time on it, for you to look at, what Landon's done and make some suggestions.
Yeah, there was just a couple changes.
Is there anything on that list that you think council doesn't want to dive into? So before he spends time, is it like, yeah, we ought to fix our nudity, yeah, we ought to fix our vagrants, yep, we ought to fix?
Well, I haven't gotten past nudity yet.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
Sure.
She wanted to know if it was still okay to throw her stuff away. No.
Hey, I've had a 14-year-old boy.
she's gonna go home and throw away a lot of books.
We prosecuted people just recently, I want to say a year ago, through the nudity law, on the books.
Okay, so
Really?
it's just the example.
He was nuded. Oh, the guy was, I think he was the guy that was just walking around ringing doorbells and knocking on people's doors.
Oh, that guy?
Yeah, he was,
Just saying hi?
no, he was
He was high.
high on something.
Oh, speaking of hi,
Probably acid or something. Like he was,
he must have been hot, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, when they take acid, they get really hot, and when they take off all their clothes, it's a thing.
Good to know.
Just, it's a thing, I don't make it up. So, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna move us past nudity. We'll have you go ahead and look at what Landon wrote. Do we have a vagrancy law?
Vagrants, we don't.
Do we want one?
Well, so I put in there,
Sorry, I'll back out now. I'm sorry, I really was just walking through.
Oh, you're welcome to
No,
join
thank
us.
you. You should come
Public health and
sometime.
safety. We have vagrants and peddlers still.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I am so sorry, guys. But the Supreme Court really did just come out with an opinion pretty recent that allows cities a lot of authority concerning vagrants,
Yeah.
specifically in city parks.
A year before last, actually, I remember that.
Yeah. Oh, 2 years, yeah, I guess right for me.
Because it was very much a factor when Helena and some of the others were.
Yeah, been a crackdown. So yeah, now cities have a lot more authority. I gotta meet with Danae, but if you need me, I'm around.
Okay, so apparently we do have something.
we have a peddler's law. It doesn't really fall under vagrant.
And are we trying to fix something?
I don't know, that's something that Dennison would have to write up. I couldn't find any really good vagrant laws.
Oh, are you talking about the peddling or the?
Well, both of them, I mean,
Well, peddling didn't have.
I can tell you that from a city standpoint, we have dealt with both peddling and vagrants in the last month.
Mhm.
really.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get in summertime, we'll get these, people who will come down and pretend to be homeless or whatever. And the peddler's law really doesn't give us much enforcement on that.
I imagine it wouldn't. They're not peddlers.
Right.
They're not selling anything.
Right, exactly. But there is a bunch of city ordinances, like Billings has it, Bozeman has it, aggressive soliciting, and it would fall under that. So I took Bozeman and Billings and kind of mingled them together to what made the most sense, what sounded the best, and kind of added that in here.
And soliciting, of course, would cover people asking for money.
Right, aggressive manner, approaching and speaking to people, following them, harassing them, and then under false pretense, pretending to be homeless, pretending to be Indian.
I'm glad it covers that.
They tend to show up in the grocery store parking lot a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very frustrating.
I've only been here 20 years, I've never had anybody.
Well, I've had to go out and request them to move on,
Sure.
with threat of trespass. And then they just go stand on the sidewalk.
It's pretty common.
So they know.
Does this address the, online soliciting false pretense? So we had one of those in the last year too. How did that get prosecuted?
Like fraud,
Yeah, was that just fraud is how that got prosecuted?
potentially, yeah. And those ones are hard to, if people can change their IP address and that kind of stuff, it's hard to find people.
I'm remembering we had one and he's moved on, I think is my understanding, but
I'm not aware of that one, but
I would think you would be more so aware of it than anybody else given your name. Enough said?
maybe I am, I'm just not.
Okay, here's the question under peddlers. That's them soliciting or going onto private property. Does that include the, people that are trying to get you to vote for one way or another?
They're not soliciting for funds. I think it's kind of defined in there somewhere.
Only because they're soliciting for funds?
Yeah, get into giving money or other things of value.
Can we make that illegal?
No, you
No.
can't actually, that's First Amendment protected.
Yep.
If they enter your private property,
Mm-hmm. To come knock on your door and say,
vote for me?
sign this petition, vote for this, I think that's all protected. Right up there with the Mormons and the Jehovah's Witnesses and the born again, that's religion, so.
That's why you get dogs. Sorry, I didn't.
Your course of action is to ask them to leave, and if they don't,
Yeah, you can say leave,
They
you don't
never
have
make
to.
it past my dogs. My dogs aren't huge, but they're yappy,
yeah.
and that's their territory. So no, they never make it that far. Okay, so peddlers, so we're gonna say. You know, I know that we've had vagrants here before. I can think of one that was here for years that must have slept in one of the campgrounds or something, and he would come into town. I don't think that he ever asked for money. He might have.
Well, that vagrants is a whole different deal. Vagrants is just basically homeless people living wherever they can. And there's very little laws we have in our city ordinance that abate that as well, so.
That's kind of what I asked about parks, to see if there was a
Like a curfew.
curfew, which there wasn't any. And that's why I asked if, you know, someone who's homeless chooses to go into a public park and sleep on the bench.
If you're gonna do a curfew, you have to have exceptions for like, when they have their hockey games and stuff like that,
Yeah, we would, you know, when there's exclusive use type of thing, that we understand that. I just didn't know if we want, if, a curfew, you know, we always use Bozeman as the example because they have so many vagrants that have taken over the park.
well, Montana's actually changing, its public nuisance law to add that.
Okay,
The campsites that, and I think the verbiage was annoy the senses or something like that.
Annoys the senses. I love
It
that.
was really weird verbiage, but they're changing, the legislation's changing and adding that to the public nuisance and then, yeah.
okay. So it is covered, so if it's covered, it's covered. I know that Jody said that that was called camping, and I don't think sleeping on a bench without,
It doesn't
Isn't
fall under our,
camping.
it doesn't fall under our city ordinance. It has
So-
to be a structure of some sort.
yeah,
like
to
that.
create it, to call it a camp. So, somebody could go ahead and be in the park, sleep on the bench.
I don't know, did we have any recent problems that used to be, we had one individual that would use the public restrooms and sleep in the park?
We've addressed that within the last month, actually, that's.
Is this the Lions Club, I'm assuming?
Yeah. And we ended up transporting that individual and getting him some additional services elsewhere, but.
But he didn't break a law, he just needed
We,
help.
we just talked to him, he was willing to cooperate. Had he not wanted to, just, as
Did he,
far as actual enforcement, there's not a whole lot we could have done,
I'm
other
kind of,
than trespassing from the city property, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah, trespass on city property. it's city property.
Did he make the public bathrooms, offensive to the census?
That's what I heard, but I don't know,
Well, you go in any public bathroom, they're offensive.
No, they're not. I'm just being facetious a little bit, but if that's a problem, if he's showering,
you could,
pooping,
right,
whatever.
you could articulate that the way he was treating the public restroom, it was technically vandalism.
Okay, that's right. Okay.
So at least there was something for that.
Well, I think, I'm reading here that, vagrancy laws are considered outdated and are being replaced or reformed. I think we're in that state.
Well, there was, until the courts overturned the laws recently, the cities couldn't remove vagrants from public right-of-way. That's been changed.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 years, and that was based a lot of what was going on down in California. So this is you can't tell me to leave, this is my home and domicile here on the sidewalk in front of whatever what the chain is, that there's one up on every Dwayne Reed's or something.
Oh, yeah.
That was just like,
Right.
this is my home.
Yeah.
And then the Supreme Court said, no, you can, in the interest of public health and safety, you can make regulations for it about it.
Okay, well, I think,
And then you have public versus private, because we do have individuals on private property that are essentially encampments within the city right now.
that they're on private property.
Those are on private property. I don't know if that's
There is,
an issue or not.
in the ordinance, if it's commercially zoned, they have to get a permit.
That actually isn't there anymore, that has been,
Oh, has that been removed?
yeah, I got out last year,
Oh, okay.
so, but, and then there's no camping in the public right of way, but we're not doing anything on private, is my recollection of how that came out. But now it goes back to when you private, so somebody said the sidewalk was their home, now they could legally smoke pot there, because this is my home. So,
Well, I'm gonna move us along here because one of the things tonight was, the snow, and we need a resolution because we pulled out the, what I'm gonna do, Landon, we're gonna look through this, we'll make sure it goes past Dennison, and then we'll look at it again. The original snow ordinance had the fines, and I know that we need a resolution for the fines. One of the things I wanted to talk with our group was, I understand that the first offense was a warning, second offense was $50. And I kind of felt that $50 was too cheap, because that's what it would have cost for them to have the sidewalk cleared. So I wanted the fine to be more than what they would have spent. How do you guys feel about that? I was thinking about making the second offense $100, so that would encourage them to spend the $50 to clear it.
Yeah, I get,
You see
Mhm.
where I was going with
Mhm.
that?
you can't make them just the same thing. I think.
That's kind of what I thought, and I did get that number from, ProCut. They said it was $50 to clear a regular 50-foot sidewalk on Broadway. So if we make the second offense $100, what do you propose for the third, which was $100? Do we only go up to $150?
I don't know.
I kind of keep going back to the fines for not paying your reserve tax to the city,
which is 50, and then it's what?
250. I mean, it's really high. It's actually interest and then $250, which I think that And then we end up at city council meetings, you know, for people that are trying to say that that's ridiculous. They owed $30 in resort tax, and so the third offense, I didn't want it to make so much that they're coming to us and asking us to excuse it.
But every time it snows is a new offense,
It does add up, doesn't it?
so it would continue to add up. I don't know what your goal is to influence behavior, not,
That's the goal. What if we did, the third offense, in other words, skipping the third offense in here and go straight to the third offense or subsequent offense, would constitute where the snow is removed by the city. So the first offense is a warning. The second offense is $100, and the third offense, the city will clear it and charge you for it.
200.
Or 200, which we could make some money for the city.
Hopefully we'll,
I think
because you're just gonna hire that out, is that correct, Mr. Mayor? You're gonna contact the private,
Oh,
Company to remove the
the
snow.
cleaning would be hired out. Yeah, we don't have the facilities because they're out plowing streets and other things at that
Right.
time.
and then the bill for that.
So
would
it'd be
go
similar
against
to what we
taxes.
do with tall grasses. We send somebody a notice, other than it would be a little bit quicker response to it.
With tall grasses, what are they, is there a,
So tall grasses, we send out a letter and they have 2 weeks to respond, and then we mow it and they do it and put it on their taxes.
so there's no first offense that you're not gonna charge them anything, trying to get them to do it themselves?
No, they get a notice, have 2 weeks to clear it up, and there's not even a fine. We just have it, cause it to be done and give them the bill.
And to me, that's a safety hazard for fire, and this is a safety hazard for slippage. So what if we just made the third offense where, the city will remove the snow and charge the landowner?
well, you just charging them for the bill.
Well, right now, what it reads is, you've got a warning, a $50 fine on your second offense, a $100 on your third offense, and then the fourth one, it says, fourth or subsequent offense within a 2-year period would constitute maintaining a public nuisance.
that,
So
Yeah.
obviously that's silly. The snow is still not gone from the sidewalk. And now it's ice.
What's the reasonable time frame for the removal?
It's
Once-
supposed to be.
Once you're given notice,
It's supposed to be, I think it is by 10 AM when the snow, after the snow stops.
but when your officer shows up to say, you haven't shoveled your snow, it's now 10:30, it needs to be done when?
Snow and ice shall be removed from sidewalks by 10 AM the day after the cessation of a storm,
Right?
the day after it stops
And
snowing.
how long are you gonna give them to correct the situation?
What we've
before
been
the
doing
city
right now
hires?
is 24 hours, and then 24 hours later, after they've received the notice, then we just send somebody in to take care
Because
of
that's
it.
basically.
has anybody been sent in to clear a sidewalk?
Not commercially.
Okay,
What has happened is, as I've contacted people this year, they have gotten
Taken care of
within that 24 hours and taken care of it.
that's our hope,
Yeah.
is that this will not keep going to a fourth offense. Oh, my God.
No, our goal is to get the sidewalks cleared.
Yeah,
The second offense is gonna cost them twice as much as it would have if they'd just had it done. And the third offense would be the city. Now, would the city charge?
Well, the part of it is I wonder, I don't know that it's the fine amount that changes. What I wonder is if by the second or third offense, and we'd have to get Dennison's buy-off on, is we eliminate the 24 hours. Once, if I give you a warning and you don't do it, so we pay to do it, I give you another, a ticket, we pay to do it. As there comes a point where we just know you're not gonna do it, we're gonna clear it sooner and you're gonna pay for it sooner.
Well, that's what I'm wondering here. This is actually an MCA, according to this. Fourth or subsequent offense within a 2-year period would constitute maintaining a public nuisance. so they could be charged with maintaining a public nuisance. But
What,
the fourth offense within a 2-year period, that's annoying, that 2-year period.
we're not gonna keep track of that, because what if the business changes hands? I mean,
Exactly.
it's just,
It's silly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know that D is definitely out. The question is, when does the city clear the snow from the sidewalk? Is it after the
Right now,
second?
it's we do it after 24 hours, no, we do it at the first time at the warning. It's 24 hours after they've been given a notice that there's a thing. Then we can clear it out and send them the bill, or cause it to be cleared out and send them the bill.
So we should just do warning, and then the city will clear
yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's 20
Quit messing
24 hours.
around with it.
Let me switch gears just slightly. You have this for council discussion tonight.
Right.
What is your objective? What does success look like? If you will say, having this on the agenda tonight was successful if, fill in the blank.
If we go ahead, number one, and take out the exclusion for clearing the sidewalks after, north of the roundabout,
Okay?
I really would like to get that out of there.
Can I modify that? You want to get council's input on that.
Right,
You may want it to be gone, but so
right,
it will be successful if you feel like you have council's input on that particular
on
element.
that section there.
Okay?
And the only other thing that we wanted to clear out of this was the fines, the penalties for noncompliance. Because the penalties for noncompliance just means that the snow stays on the sidewalks.
I mean,
It never gets, you get a written, right now it says you get a written warning, then a $50 fine, then a $100 fine. And then it goes to the fourth one within a 2-year period. Now it's maintaining a public nuisance.
so, and what's your definition of success tonight?
Well, I think the roundabout is key, and our feeling was that we're encouraging people to bike and walk more by Brewery Hill, so by not clearing those sidewalks, you're discouraging people to walk. So that's, in case
Or
someone
not
asks,
safe for
that's
them.
the reasoning. And then, as far as this other, you know, what am I trying to say? We gotta get rid of the snow. We can't just wait around, I wonder if they're gonna shovel their sidewalks today. Just give them a warning and then move in.
And that was my feeling
Yeah.
on the resolution.
And that's successful if we get that, if we can't like dilly-dally, because snow is,
So at a higher level, success is, we have a game plan going forward that we feel we can get the snow gone more quickly than it's been done in the past. I mean, that's the ultimate objective of why this is being done.
Well,
That's the problem we're seeking to solve.
well, I think it's common sense.
faster downtown and
I'm all about
including north
common
of the
sense.
roundabout.
But I have a question.
Yes.
When Willie uses the Bobcat to clear the sidewalks south of town, which is adjacent to private property, who's paying for it?
We are the city.
And just a question, why?
You talking about like a Chateau Rouge and?
Chateau Rouge?
Well, everything up like between Roosevelt and Chateau to get there. We had one person that made the assertion at Parks, I've not had a chance to validate it yet, that we are the only resort town in Montana that does not clear snow in the business district. I don't know that that's a true
I'm
statement
not
of it.
opposed to it, but at the same time, if you're gonna require the sidewalks, which are extensive for the property owners adjacent, that Willie does the same on the south, or the north end of town as he does on the south end of town.
In other words, treat everybody the same.
Sounds good to me.
I
I'm
didn't
not
realize
opposed
that
to it,
this,
because I think it is important that those sidewalks are cleared, but it's also, a big task. When my father lived on Main Street, the state plowed so much snow onto his sidewalk, it was impossible for him to remove it, even with equipment.
we,
It was a significant effort.
the same thing's been happening downtown, where you put the rock snow.
Oh, I'm well aware, I'm the guy that shovels it.
So,
Yeah.
right, right now, Willie could be tasked with plowing north up to, say,
that's what I'm thinking of, is just from the,
Wherever
Fam-
there's a
family-
sidewalk,
family
wherever
doll-
there's a sidewalk.
well, the sidewalk
Well, eventually,
ends,
those sidewalks could go all the way to the hospital.
Exactly.
but right now they stop at Family Dollar, correct? And then at AY Supply on the east.
Yeah.
Well, what, could Willie, I mean, I think that would be,
Why would those property owners be exempt from clearing their own snow when everybody downtown is not?
well, Chateau Rouge isn't clearing their sidewalk, I don't,
Well, why would they? Because the city does it for them.
well,
I don't know that they're doing it in front of the chateau. I don't know that they're not,
I'm
but
not sure.
they're doing along, my understanding is we were doing this stuff along the road, but there is nothing there that's not privately owned. So that's where your comment of, and the
And I'm not
adjacent to
opposed,
privately
because
owned.
I understand,
I've got a note to
as a
reach out
property
to
owner, I
my,
understand the challenges of that snow removal, and yes, the argument is, well, you just hire it done. But that can be very financially impacting
With the
on the
amount.
property owner, even more so than property taxes. When you think about how much is charged, say it's $1 a foot, and every time it snows, you have 150 feet of sidewalk, that's $150 every time it snows, and how often does it snow?
Once
It
or
gets
twice.
pretty impactful. So, and I'm not trying to make excuses for why they shouldn't have to pay for their own snow removal, but I'd like to see it done downtown too, so. But we live in a resort town, we enjoy, snow brings economy to our community. And as the mayor said, we may be in the minority as a resort town, not participating in snow removal at the city level with the property owners. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I'm glad to see the sidewalks plowed, because for years, I've had to go around pedestrians and the highway south of town on their way to the Chateau Rouge or, you know, wherever. But anywhere south
Downtown.
downtown, it seems like they're forced into the streets because those sidewalks have never been maintained.
What do you think, Mr. Mayor?
I've got a follow-up question to validate how things are being done downtown. And a second one to follow up on the assertion that resort tax community without.
You know, I have no problem as a property owner maintaining the sidewalk. But if the initial push, after the state has plowed all the snow onto the sidewalk, if the city were to make a run and pile it on the berm, then the property owner could maintain it from there. Those big pushes, as you know,
Yeah.
are very difficult to remove.
Oh, almost impossible. And
And,
you can't put them in the street, and you're supposed to put them in that 8-inch little strip
well,
that Mike
it goes
does.
on, you know, you,
An 8-inch strip.
reality is it goes,
But there's also in the judgment too, when there's a little bit on the sidewalk, a little bit on the street, nobody gets a citation for that.
Well, actually, it says it only has to be 5 feet of sidewalk. When you're looking at this.
so essentially downtown, a portion of the sidewalk becomes snow storage in the wintertime,
Exactly.
which,
Because this
that's
says,
fine.
We basically maintain a accessible path, which means wheelchair width.
which is the area of at least a 5-foot width along the length of the sidewalk.
And I think that's where the ordinances are written, that snow needs to be removed from the sidewalk where it should be in downtown, it should be moved to the snow burn, and open areas should be a certain width,
which is what,
which would make more sense, because when these guys show up to warn and enforce, they can do that.
and then so now there's at least 3 things on this snow ordinance that we want to seriously look at and talk to the city council. One is the new one that Mike came up with the snow shall not be moved from the frontage of one parcel to another not owned by the same entity. And I know that might have been residential, but has it been a problem?
It has been, because so what I remember of this
Residentially.
conversation was, it was getting moved down to intersections and stuff, and it was, and to me, that's something, and I think Mike's thinking was that addressed it, so.
So do we think that we should include that? We have about 3 minutes. And I think that whether it's downtown or private property, no matter where the snow is, downtown or residential, the snow should not be moved from the frontage of one parcel to another not owned by the same entity.
I agree with that.
My request is that you think about how this is gonna be presented tonight when you've got the council there, and make the distinction between how you feel and then getting council's input on stuff. But figure out how like I said, figure out what success is gonna look like tonight, and then get their input. So, I think it's okay to say, I propose we fix it by doing this, or we propose we fix it by allowing it here, and then get council's feedback. We agree with you, or we don't buy that. We propose we fix this by doing this. Does everybody agree, or does somebody have a better idea? That's kind of what the purpose of getting tonight's input in.
Okay.
But I'm changing my mind on the northern, part of town. It's not the downtown, business district. It's the sidewalks are wider. Mike or Willie could plow those 2 sides. Instead of asking the business owners to do it, Willie could do it as he's doing it south of town.
And that's kind of where I've got my notes, because
Yeah.
my things are, we're a service organization, we get things done consistently the same way. Why are we doing it there and
Yeah.
not there, and why that's my question
So
that I
I
took away from
don't know if I wanna I totally wanna go north, but which way? Which way?
Which mechanism
Yeah.
to do it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And,
So,
Madam Chair, where you need to wrap it up so we can start the
Yeah.
next one.
yep. So, as usual,
I'll see how I
got
can
lots
propose
of
that.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can.
I agree with you on that, Ann.
Yeah.
I think there's no reason why, because they have the equipment to do it.
Mhm.
There's not gonna be park benches out in front, there's not gonna be,
Yeah,
store stuff out
you've
in
got
front.
wide,
You can just, it'll take 10, 15 minutes to do each side, just
Yeah.
drive down it and get it done.
Yeah, well, the hospital clears its sidewalk,
Right.
and
but-
once their sidewalk's all the way down,
Right.
it would be a longer run for them, but it'll be a straight shot.
Yeah, but I, like I say, the only, downtown businesses would probably love to have theirs done, but I have got feedback from some business owners that, they don't want to be told what they can and can't put out in front of their store.
sure.
So it's kind of a balancing act, I guess,
I think that's where you create the parameters, and you have how far from the front of the building can something be.
So, yep, exactly.
But then you have,
How
Too much
much of the
to
sidewalk can
negotiate.
be used for snow storage?
but then you
Right.
have benches there in that
And-
5 foot from the front of the business. So it's no longer a clear 5 foot path.
Yeah,
Okay,
so, love the north, but wanna do it differently.
I'll draw up something, pass it over to you today.
I just, as
Treat it the
as a
same
council
way.
member, I agree with you.
Treat it the same way that.
Will you say the magic words, please?
And,
Oh,
we are officially
9:50 each.
officially done. Thank you.